I absolutely hate telling this story, so let's go. I sang for 10 years with the New York City Gay Men's Chorus. It was very meaningful. Made so many friends, sang on stage at Carnegie Hall 8 times. Sometime in September 2016, the UN had a horrible vote denying any Jewish connection to the Western Wall, which happens to be only the holiest location in all of Judaism. We sang a song in preparation for the Christmas holiday concert, White Wine in the Sun, by Tim Minchin, composed and performed by him. It's a beautiful song. It's all about the friends and family vibe of Christmas, independent of any religion or Jesus Christ or anything like that. I will play a clip here in a minute. The first verse is very, very meandering stream of consciousness, and it's kind of poking fun at all the trappings of Christmas and observances.
And yes, I have all of the usual objections to consumerism, to the commercialization of an ancient religion, to the westernization of a dead Palestinian press ganged into selling PlayStations and beer.
First time I heard it, I was like, my spidey sense and ears perked right up. At break, I talked to people. Even though there were 30, 40 Jewish guys out of 250 active members in the chorus, nobody stood with me. One person did, my friend Ken. The groupthink and peer pressure to toe the left-leaning politics, I was really alone in this. I went up to the music director at rehearsal and I said, Charlie Beale, who picked this song? And we got to talk about the vetting process. This song perpetuates erasive anti-Semitism. I don't know if you've heard what erasive anti-Semitism is. A man named Ben Freeman coined it.
I named erasive Jew hate, erasive anti-Semitism, and I realized it did two things. So the first is it erases Jewish experience. It says that Jew hate is not a contemporary problem. Jews are a white privileged group who are not kind of deserving of allyship. And it frames Jew hate as not a contemporary thing. It also erases Jewish identity. It erases our minoritized status, but it also erases our indigeneity. So the fact that we are indigenous to the land of Israel, the Levant.
If a black person was claiming to be a victim of discrimination, no one would tell the black person, you're wrong, that's not racist. Everyone would understand that the black person was telling them discrimination against them had occurred, and that was that. But yet, Jews don't count. It's another great example of David Baddiel. When Jews say that's anti-Semitic, all the time, people have no problem with saying, no, it's not. No, it's not. Let me tell you. Let me Jew-splain that to you, Jew. That's not anti-Semitic, and here's why. And it also denies that Jews can be victims of prejudice. In Israel, we predominantly have dark skin. In America, predominantly, we have white passing skin, like me. And as a people in this country and really all around the world, we prize education. And we have a lot of success in academia and the arts and financial industry and medicine and law and winning a disproportionate amount of Nobel Prizes and so on. And so the idea is you can't be prejudiced. You're too successful. You know, there's this binary of white oppressor and of color oppressed that has metastasized and taken over the whole left. And Jews are presumed to be and pronounced to be on the wrong side of that. And so I said, Charlie, I wish I would have been there when we chose this song, but what are we going to do about it now? We can not sing it, or we can put something in the program about it, or before we sing it in the show, you can address the crowd and say, you know what you're about to talk about is controversial, but we're singing it anyway. And Charlie paused and said, in the past, when other members of the chorus have objected to a song for whatever reason, we've invited them to leave the stage. And so how about that? That's the only option they gave me. You can leave the stage, Jew boy. They didn't say that, but that was the only option I got. So I was really incensed and disheartened and all the heavy feelings. We had just started the DEI committee of the chorus. It was called the Inclusion and Equity Initiative. Charlie redirected me over there. Ultimately, they concluded nothing and just sent me back to Charlie. But, I don't have to make this about me. This sucks. This is wrong. This is discrimination. But let's just get through this concert and then I'll just put it behind me and never think about it again. Except we were singing a song called Fuck You by Lily Allen. It's a great song. And it has a lyric in there about something like, we need to slay someone. And she's using it as jargon, as sort of like gay slang. But someone interrupted the entire rehearsal. It's not respectful of anyone's time. And they just needed to have a whole conversation about why we were singing that and was that right. We derailed half of a rehearsal just debating that. They did a gospel song. Black members of the chorus were very upset that a solo for a gospel song was given to a white person. They were very, very offended and let it be known. And Charlie Beale sent a chorus-wide apology. And then for our spring concert, we were doing a David Bowie tribute concert. One of the songs we were singing for that is a song called Girls. And it has the lyric in there, Jap girls, a pejorative, or maybe always has been, or certainly has become an offensive term for Japanese. The Asian members of the chorus were offended and protested, and the chorus changed the lyrics. Eventually, we got a meeting between me, the artistic director, and the board of directors, a man named Dan Bailey. And Charlie Beale said to me, you would have had a different outcome if the Inclusion and Equity Initiative had been more mature by the time your issue came around. And it is more mature right now with the way these Asian students are protesting. And IEI committee had been not mature enough for my issue, but had matured by the time the Black students had their issue with the gospel song also, just like the Japanese students. It was too late to change the lyrics like had been done for the Asian members. But in this case, they got a full apology. And that's all there is to it. Sorry, we can't go back in time. We ended the meeting and we walked around the corner to go to rehearsal. And I started to feel the opposite of belonging. And that, why am I fighting so hard to be part of an organization that clearly doesn't give a shit about me? Doesn't really want me here even. I literally sat on my hands and said, Scott, you love this institution. It's given a lot to you, a lot of friendships, a lot of opportunity, a lot of meaning. If you leave now, you're going to miss it. This too shall pass. Let's see if this feeling, strong as it is, can move through you. But it got too big, and I got up and walked out and never looked back. That's what it feels like to love something that decides it's easier without you. I was working for an organization that had office space inside the Anti-Defamation League. It was like an umbrella project, and the ADL was part of it. And I told this story to ADL New York and New Jersey office, and they agreed discrimination had occurred, and they contacted the then executive director, Lisa Riley, and offered free training on anti-Semitism. And the New York City Gay Men's Chorus turned that down. So anyway, later on, after I had dropped out, I heard from a friend that there was some other issue with the Black students, particularly the really young ones, and that I wasn't a member by now, so I don't really know any details, but it was wrecking rehearsals and holding things up and threatening to derail a whole concert. And I got wind that the Gay City News was writing an article about it. And I contacted the Gay City News, and I told this same story to the reporter, but then I got cold feet. And I didn't want to tear down, maybe irreparably, I thought, an institution that really had at one point given so much to me. So I said, you can't use this, not even on background. I did speak to Susie Weiss, who is Barry Weiss's executive team running the Free Press. This is before Barry was editor-in-chief of CBS. Go Barry! And before even the Free Press was a thing. This is when she had her podcast, Honestly. And her younger sister, Susie, was, I think, her booking producer at the time. And I pitched this to Susie. And Susie called me back and said that Barry does care about this issue. And she got all the details from me, but Barry ended up not going forward with the story. And then years later, flash forward to like 2024 now, could have been 2023, I'm not sure which. The new music director, Johnny Attarino, and he used to be a member of the chorus just like me. I saw him on the street and he was on a telephone call. And I was very confrontational, not in a violent way, but like, I won't be ignored, Dan. I got his attention and I was just like, I told him he had to call me back. I said, nothing is being done about this. It's years later. And he did call me back to his credit. And he listened to the whole story I've just told you again. And to his credit, again, he validated my feelings. And he said, that's awful what happened to you. But I said, what are we going to do about it, Johnny? There's never been an amends made. Forget about singing Hanukkah songs for the holiday concert. Hanukkah in Santa Monica, yeah, that's cute, right? That's maybe for the capos and the Jews with trembling knees who succumb to the peer pressure. What can we do meaningfully? Should we partner with the ADL, raise money? Should we sing a song that touches on anti-Semitism? Maybe it's nothing to do with a concert. Maybe you'll have me over to the rehearsal and I'll tell this story. Let's brainstorm. I'm sure we could do something great. Never heard from him again. So I don't waste time stewing in resentment for this organization. I'm telling the story now because I never told it here. And I'm having a viral moment and it could get a lot of attention. And this is the moment to tell it. However, anytime anyone says, oh yeah, we were at a New York City Gay Men's Chorus concert, or hey, do you want to go to the New York City Gay Men's Chorus concert? I right away don't mince any words and I say, oh no, I was a victim of anti-Semitic discrimination from them. And people say, what happened? And maybe I tell a quick version of the story. Like I said, I hate telling it. I used to think the chorus lost me. Now I know they lost something much bigger. In the end, the chorus taught me something, not about harmony, but about how easy it is to silence one voice in the name of inclusion. That's my story. And until they make it right, I'll keep telling it.